Noting the combined economic output of the BRICS countries last year came close to matching the gross domestic product of the United States. Now, in contrast, back in 2007, the U.S. economy was double that of the BRICS nations. I spoke to Jacob Kirkegaard, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. I asked him if the BRICS countries are now an international economic powerhouse.
Well, I would say that it's clear that the BRICS aren't quite the powerhouse that I think many, including themselves, thought. I mean, if you look at the individual countries, I mean, quite frankly, Brazil is in a deep economic hole right now. It's looking at a major prolonged recession. I think China is naturally slowing down, and of course right now is facing a major stock market correction. Russia, the Russian economy right now is in deep recession. Because of sanctions and because of obviously the invasion of Ukraine. India, on the other hand, is doing quite okay actually, 7.5% growth. South Africa, very dependent on commodity prices, again, therefore not doing so well. So I would say that yes, they are 5 very important economies in the world. But the idea that they were going to be an alternative to the G7 and really be able to dictate independently, simply because of their economic strength and their rapid growth, the way the world economy is going, I think it's clear that that's not happening.
So how important is this summit, and what do you see as the key features of the agenda?
Well, I think, as is always the case with all the BRICS summits, they need to be able to positively agree on something. Because the reality is that to date, quite frankly, in my opinion, the BRICS economies and the BRIC club has been predominantly characterized by what they can agree to oppose. They are obviously opposed to a sort of unilateral U.S. dominance of the global economy and many of the things that come from the traditional G7 countries. But it's much less clear what they actually can agree upon among themselves.
What about China? It's expanding its footprint on the world stage. We've seen the AIIB, of course, the One Belt, One Road. Talk to me about China's place within BRICS and perhaps its lead in terms of taking the gauntlet and kind of moving ahead versus the other countries.
No, I mean, I personally always regarded the BRICS as really China plus the 4 others. There's no doubt, in my opinion, that the BRICS have always been characterized as basically what China could do on its own, but might find it a little easier to do if they had some smaller friends come along with it. And that remains still the case. China is by far the biggest economy of the BRICS members, and it is the economy that, even if right now India might be growing faster, because China is already so much bigger, it remains where the core of the growth in the BRICS are. So BRICS won't do anything unless China wants it. And to the extent that the Chinese government therefore decides to utilize the BRICS forum to achieve its international economic goals is, of course, a function of both what China could do on its own, and I would say AIIB is an example of China essentially setting up more or less its own institution, opening it up to everyone, not just the BRICS, but to everyone else, and everybody else comes predictably saying we would like to join, with the exception, of course, of the United States and Japan.